Hi everyone, I'm Rachel Hazelip with the Idaho Freedom Foundation, and we are here with Mark Fitzpatrick, who is the owner of Old State Saloon, the brain behind Hetero Awesome Month, and also one of the winners of the 2024 IFF Citizens Hero Award. So it's very nice to be here. Thank you so much for speaking with us. How are you doing? We're a couple days out from the big festival.
Yeah, and a lot of excitement here. Thanks for stopping by Old State Saloon, Rachel. It's good to see you. And we are just in the last hours of throwing everything that we can together to make this fest amazing. It's going to be 2 days, Friday and Saturday, 20th and 21st. And it's going to be packed full of a lot of fun. We have all the booths that are going to be there. Of course, Old State Saloon will be there, selling tasty beverages. We have live entertainment, live music. There's a kids zone. What else? Some speakers are going to be there. We have Michael Austin's going to be there for our headliner. It's going to be a whole lot of fun, and I hope everybody can come and bring friends to the event.
Sounds like it's going to be an amazing event. So tell us a little bit about what Hetero Awesome is. Is this, talk to us about kind of the ideas and the values behind what that phrase is.
Well, we got started about a year ago, and it was the result of my family thinking, hey, what are we going to do in June to celebrate a birthday party that we had, and we wanted to kind of avoid downtown Boise because of everything that happens during Pride Month. And so I thought, hey, what if there's other people thinking that? What could we offer at Old State Saloon that would be something that is a God-honoring alternative to what goes on in that month in Pride and everything? And I thought, well, if we're going to stay on the sexuality kick, he created heterosexuality. It is an amazing gift from God to us, and I think, why don't we celebrate that? That's pretty awesome. So Hetero Awesome, so we called it Heterosexual Awesomeness Month at Old State Saloon, and it really it took off, and we got both the really vehement, vile, disgusting hatred from the side of Pride that was just not happy with what we were doing. Understatement of the year. And two, we got a lot of support from people who were just saying, enough is enough. This is exactly what we need, is this way of looking at it, this way where we can look at this design, this heterosexuality, and just say, yes, we're going to celebrate this and not that.
Right. Well, you kind of mentioned how this would be a God-honoring event. Kind of, if you could speak to that on how this festival is kind of filling a void, maybe where churches, I know you often talk about how churches have kind of abdicated their role in pushing and fighting against the culture war that we're seeing, particularly against our children. So if you kind of speak to how Hetero Awesome Fest kind of fills this void that is so desperately needed because of lack of church action.
Well, we kind of have, the church, in my opinion, and I'm talking about institutional churches, not Jesus Christ Church, but I'm talking about the church institutional, has seemingly pulled itself out of a lot of the culture war, not really encouraging their different congregations to go out into the world and be present and be a voice for the Lord and stand firm for what's right and true. And more so almost discourage that kind of activity and say, hey, instead of doing that stuff, try to invite people under our bubble here and bring them into our church and into our brand. And if we look back at the last couple of decades of doing that, the result ends up being that we are now having a world where our kids are sitting in libraries being read books by half-naked men who are dressed as women. And we've got to get to this point where we're like, how did we get here? And it's a result of inactivity. It's a result of being apathetic. And it's a result of saying, hey, I'm just going to look this other way and let them do their thing. Meanwhile, if you're just looking this way and not saying, hey, this is wrong, we need to stand for what's right, evil will keep encroaching and encroaching and encroaching and encroaching until it gets to the point where children are being victimized at this point, deceived to think that they may be something that's quite opposite of what God created them to be. And that decision gets affirmed. They feel loved in that decision, and they go down this path where they end up being slaves to big pharma for the rest of their lives, and even potentially chopping off their body parts that they've been given by God. And so knowing all of that, okay, so researching all of that, and I didn't research and get to know all these things until I was like ruthlessly attacked
Right.
by, after I did Heterosexual Awesomeness Month last year, ruthlessly attacked by Pride. I mean, they send me the most vile, disgusting things daily. I get stuff in the mail. I get stuff, obviously email. I get voicemails. I get phone calls. I get threats. People want me to kill myself. People threaten to kill me. They threaten to burn the building down. It doesn't end. And what that did with for me is just light a fire to really research and figure out what is going on with this movement. And it gets dark.
Mm-hmm.
It gets really dark really
Yeah.
quick. And so as a result, we come into this year and people are asking, are you going to do the month again? I said, yes. And I think we should do a big event. And
Yeah.
they were like all about it. So we start the process of doing this event. And this event is basically a 2-day time where we can come together as a community, as a country, and everything, and stand for what's right and true and celebrate in a God-honoring way during the month of June in the park where they usually do Pride Month.
Right, right. That's pretty amazing. I guess what it surprises me the most is, and I think it would surprise a lot of Idahoans, is that that's happening in Idaho. You would think in such a deep red state that you wouldn't get this kind of backlash for celebrating traditional family values. But it sounds like you kind of faced a lot of those hurdles. Um,
Well, I mean, Idaho's got a lot of problems. They have
mhm,
the mayor, the leader of the biggest city in our capital in
right,
Idaho, is seemingly doing everything she can to, let's just say metaphorically and literally raise the flag for, you
right,
know, for
right.
for this movement, for the
Yeah.
Pride movement, and
Hmm.
everybody else be darned. I'm like, get
Hmm.
out of the way. We're going to raise this flag, and we're going to be all about doing something that goes against God's design,
Hmm.
against traditional family values. And what it does is it creates, a city that's emulating a lot of other cities which are going south in
Right.
the way they value morality and
Hmm.
ethics. And so we're going to see the result of more crime and everything as a result. It
Right.
all plays into it, because we're getting away from a foundation of what's true and what's right.
Right, absolutely. You kind of mentioned all of this backlash that you're getting, very much ideologically, politically, even in your business. Um, what is it looking like for the festival itself? Are you getting a lot of sponsors? Are the sponsors yeah, feeling emboldened to stay in? Or are they also being attacked? Could you speak to that a little bit?
Yeah, so they do not want this fest to happen. So
Right.
nothing's been easy. It's all been uphill
Hmm.
battle, and anybody who associates themselves with the fest or with me or with Old State Saloon gets attacked online. They
Right.
get called bigots, they get called racist, they get called Nazis, they get called pretty much every every name in the book just for associating themselves.
Wow.
And then if they say that their
Mhm.
business might publicly support it, I mean, they get raked over the coals on every forum online. They
Mhm.
get phone calls, they get attacked, they get emails. And then in a lot of instances, those people are second guessing themselves and backing out of it. And I'll say, like, right now, I understand, like, they're growing a business, and that's like you start to worry. Everything that we've done is going to go away. Everything we've worked hard for our family, for our legacy, for our business is going to go away. This is not going to be worth it,
Mhm.
And I get it. But at the same time, if the country doesn't take a stand for what's right, like I said before, if it's not going to actually take a step forward and say, no, we're standing on this, and this is the way it is, and this is righteous, and this is true,
Mhm.
it'll keep getting worse until that happens. And
Right.
if we had the numbers and the power and the authority of the church standing with the power of the Holy Spirit behind them,
Right.
this would all end very quickly. But instead, it's just kind of sitting there.
Mhm. It's certainly time to act like never before. I mean, this is an absolute moral war that we are in right now. That they are coming after our kids so incredibly hard. So it's like if there's a time to stand. There's a time. It's now. You
Right.
know.
So, yeah, to answer your question, we've had sponsors that have backed out.
Hmm.
We're not getting sponsors. We've heard that businesses are being threatened by other businesses and people that if they're involved in our fest, that they'll tell everybody not to use their business in any way,
Wow.
shape, or form. We don't want to see any of your product at this fest.
Right.
Things like that are happening. It's really disappointing. I mean, it's a fight, and the other side,
Hmm.
the side that, I mean, literally, I was at Pride Fest in Nampa, and these are the Church of Satan type of people that are there. Literally, the people
Right.
representing a satanic church, and people representing communism, and people representing socialism, and people representing the depths of evil from the Pride movement
Right.
are there, and they are on attack because they don't want this to happen.
Which is incredible because you're just supporting traditional family values. So
Yes.
it's amazing that there's so much opposition, just very simply, a very, I mean, basic, fundamental idea and philosophy that you're pushing here.
Yeah, no,
It's amazing.
I will say, like, so originally this intent is just to be like, hey, this is what we're celebrating. It's honorable, it's right, it's
Right.
wonderful, we can celebrate this. But that's not, they want to dig and dig and dig and ask questions, and they're going to say, well, what's wrong with this and everything. And so, just the way I am, as somebody asks me a question, I'm going to give you an honest answer.
Right.
And it's going to be as biblical an answer as I can give because that's the way I operate. In my answers, in my speech, I want to glorify God and give him credit for everything. And so that's what I do. And so when people, and I got interviewed by a reporter yesterday, and they said, well, what about the people, who feel like maybe you're saying that they're not so awesome because of their sexuality that's different than yours? And I said, hey, look, I'm going to be honest with you. I have friends that are gay. I have friends that are heterosexual sinners. I have friends that choose to sin in other ways, okay? That's the way they choose to live their lifestyle. I'm glad that God gives us free will to choose, and I'm glad we're in a country where we can choose. However, I will never, ever support and affirm or even glorify these decisions that go against what God's design is. I'm just not going to do it. And I will say, without taking too long of a sigh or deep breath, right there, I'll say right next to that, I realize that I am not a perfect person and I'm definitely a sinner too. Because people always accuse me of, basically being holier than thou. And that's not the case. I know I'm a sinner. And the thing is like, it doesn't matter what sin you're is, there's going to be a punishment for that sin. And that is going to be separation from our Creator forever, unless you take that gift of free grace that he gave us with Jesus living a perfect life, dying on the cross, being the sacrifice for our sins. If you put your faith and trust and hope in that, you can be saved forever. And it doesn't matter what your sin is. There is no sin that's so bad that would keep you from the love of the Lord. And you would be able to have that sacrifice that Jesus made on the cross and take that punishment for you.
Right. Amen. Very well put. So you're getting really bad pushback from the left. You're getting really bad pushback in your business. What does community support look like?
Community support's been great with local people who've known us for a long time. A lot of people that follow online on X and different social medias. I don't like to say the other two because
It's fair. It's fair.
but a lot of the other people are actually helping, and they're helping with little financial gifts here and there, which is certainly helping. We've had private sponsorships, which have been great. And I get, just like I get stuff in the mail and I get emails and voicemails, I also get the same thing with people. And they usually are people who walk in and they say, hey, we're really thankful for what you're doing. We're behind you, we're supporting you, and we'll see you at the fest, or we'll keep coming here, or we're going to buy a t-shirt or whatever. And it means a lot to me, because if all I heard was the negative stuff, eventually it would be like, why am I doing all of this?
Right. Right. Can you share any of those specific stories of encouragement?
Let's see. So, I have a gent who's been here since before. He's a local in Eagle. He's been here since before I even purchased this place, and he heard that I was going to be purchasing it. And he said, hey, I'm all for helping and making this a great part of the community. And he's been someone who comes in here, and he's a customer for the last couple years. And he heard we were doing this, and he's been to our events. He knows where I stand on things, and he just made a big sacrifice. And he wrote, a check to us that was very generous for him. This is nothing like Albertsons or Micron or any of those places that write $50,000 checks to Pride events, but it was a very generous gift. And he gave that gift, and he said, we need to unite for, if there's anything we need to unite for, it's for protecting the innocence of our children. So here's a gift. I want you to do this event, and here I'm standing behind you. And so that's definitely one that comes to mind.
That's wonderful. It's good to have those people that are outspokenly in your corner to kind of help propel you forward.
Yep.
So tell us about, I'm a first-time attendee of Hetero Awesome Fest. What do I expect there?
Okay, so you're gonna come in. The whole park that's in front of the Capitol building is gonna be fenced off, and you come into the event, and there's gonna be booths there. There's going to be an information booth. There's going to be a kid zone with bounce houses and other things. There'll be a main stage, the stage, and um, let's see what else. We have Old State Saloon there selling beverages. There'll be food trucks, although a couple bowed out recently at the last minute. I think they got some pressure. And it'll be everybody coming in and having a great time. I hear there's going to be a few protesters outside of there, and we will just move forward, and our music will be louder than their protest, and it'll be a good time. So I
Good.
recommend that people come and they ask all their friends to go. We should show up in a big way. Ask your family to go and come and enjoy yourself at Hetero Awesome Fest.
Absolutely. And name some of the highlights that you do not want people to miss.
Okay, so we have Native Patriot is on Friday. He's going to be doing, he's going to speak. He's going to be talking about family values. And we have also on Friday, we have my friend Sergio. He's a patriotic guy who's at a lot of Trump events, and he is going to be flying him out from San Diego. He'll be doing a live painting.
Wow.
And that painting will be auctioned off later. And then we have live music throughout the day from some local musicians and some who've traveled a bit. And I'm not naming them because I don't want to give everybody a target to attack, because that's what they do. They start attacking everybody.
Yeah.
But then Michael Austin, who is coming in from Nashville, he'll be the main person, and his group will be there on Friday night at closing for the last 2 hours. And he is a patriot, God-fearing man who loves his country and loves to stand for what's right. So he'll be here with no fear. So you can't chase him away. And he'll be performing Friday night and Saturday night. Saturday, so a lot of the similar type of things. We are doing another live painting on Saturday, more music all day long. There'll be a few different speakers, and then Ian Carroll will be one of the main speakers on Saturday. He's been hosting Candace Owens' show, and he's got millions of people following him online. He's become a good friend, and I look forward to having him talk about traditional family values and why it's so important for our future and for the children of our country to really have everybody get behind that. So it's going to be a lot of fun.
It sounds like a lot of fun. So tell me kind of the vision going forward with this festival. What size, scope, kind of moving forward in future years? What is this looking like?
So we're a 501c3, Heterosexual Awesomeness Inc. That is the reason I did that, was because I was hoping to go and talk to places like Albertsons and Micron and Fred Meyer and all these places, and ask them to support our traditional family values festival the same way that they supported Pride, but we got completely ignored by them. Not even a response. We did catch, I think it was Albertsons once. They said they would call us back, never did. So they just didn't want to even acknowledge our existence or even give any kind of response to us. But they're the ones that write these big checks to these pride events, and so now we're basically $50,000 short for this event, which is going to be on credit cards, and unless maybe the art will get a big live auction price or something like that. But when we continue and when we build more support and we have people that are supporting us financially, Heterosexual Awesomeness Inc. is actually a 501c3 that we've built with the idea of creating content, and that content will defend and protect traditional family values and relentlessly pursue those who are the enemies thereof. Meaning, if we have leaders in our society or people who are influential in our society, and they are standing for things like creating legislation to make gender-affirming care surgeries easier for minors, then we are going to expose those people and go after them, so that the voting base, the people who go and vote, will not continue to have them in office, or perhaps they'll do something about getting them out of office completely. But these things need to be exposed. We need to shine light on the darkness so that people know what's going on. Oh, and so we're doing it in a way, this particular group, we've got ambassadors that are basically internet all-stars that have big followings of people, and they're going to help spread. Anytime we create content, they're going to help spread that content. So we have a pretty big distribution right away. And we're doing it in a way that's more like, and I know this is a controversial name right now, but more like Elon Musk was doing it rather than a suit and tie type of situation. So it's very much like gloves off, straight to the truth. Here's the raw, what's going on, and just getting it out to people.
Right. So you mentioned this is a really big undertaking. Obviously, lots costs a lot.
Mhm.
So kind of tell people. I guess I've found that people want to be involved in things like this.
Mhm.
We live in a demographically red state. People support traditional family values, and they also want to support businesses. So how can people help support what you're doing in the festival this weekend, as well as the work you do through the 501c3?
Well, the number one thing to do is to show up, bring your family, bring your friends. It'll be a huge success if we just have a lot of
Yeah.
people show up and enjoy yourselves, and, you know, celebrate God's design,
Mhm.
celebrate time together on a beautiful day in the park, in a beautiful state, in a beautiful city. And that would be, to me, the biggest success for supporting what we're doing. I mean, we would love more sponsors or private help, and you can do that at heteroawesome.org. We are 501c3, so it is tax deductible. Donations there, or go on oldstatesaloon.com, which is footing the bill for a lot of this as well, and buy a shirt or support in any other way that you can. Both evenings we'll be having an after party here at Old State Saloon, so you can stop by Friday and Saturday, and then we'll all have a Bible study on Sunday morning.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's good. Okay, so to wrap up, kind of give me what is your main vision for people to leave the event this weekend with? What kind of values do you want them to take away? What kind of impact do you want them to leave with this weekend?
Yeah, I want people all over to come, and I've got people flying in from out of state to come and to join us Friday and Saturday. Have a great time with your family or other people's families. Listen to music, have great drinks and food, and get in good conversations. That's one thing we like to encourage people at Old State Saloon, is to have a real conversation with real people in a real place rather than arguing behind screens.
Mm.
And I think that in that way you can learn a lot from each other, and we can learn how to be people who can communicate better.
Mm.
And then what my dream is that people can leave knowing that yes, there still are fests where there's good, wholesome activity happening
Right.
that are family focused and honor the Creator, honor God, and that they feel like that was a very wholesome experience, and
Mhm.
they just come out of it and say, hey, that was a great time. Well, let's do it again and support it next year.
Right. Well, Mark, thank you so much for all the work that you do for the community, for the state, and for putting on this amazing festival. Super excited to see how it goes. The Idaho Freedom Foundation will have a booth there. We're really excited about it, and really excited to stand with you and support you in the work that you're
Yeah,
doing.
I really appreciate all your guys' support. Thank you for being there, and thank you for stopping by
Pleasure.
in this interview.
Yep.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Yep.